everyone, I hope you're doing really well. My name's Aveline from the Empath Guide Book Reviews, and I'm here today to do my very first book review, which I'm really looking forward to, and I hope you are too and that you enjoy it. So the first book that I've decided to review today is called A Monster Calls by Patrick Ness. There are a few reasons why I decided to read this book. The first was the outstanding reviews, one of them being a book review by the Peruse Project, a fellow booktuber. The other one was that this book has been highly acclaimed. It's actually won the Carnegie Medal for Fiction. The third reason is something that's a bit different. So Patrick Ness, who is the author of this book, did not actually have the original idea. The original idea came from a writer named Siobhan Dowd. And Siobhan Dowd was going through breast cancer, and she very tragically passed away before she was able to write this book. So Patrick Ness and Siobhan Dowd had not actually met, but they shared the same editor. So their editor, after Siobhan's passing, asked Patrick Ness if he would pick up the story and write it for her, and he said yes, and he did a stunning job. I mean, I really loved this book, and it resulted in both Patrick Ness and Siobhan Dowd both being awarded the Carnegie Medal for Fiction after, which I thought was really cool. And as a writer myself, I think that this is so heartwarming. I mean, to know that someone will pick up where you left off and take your idea and do it justice and share it with the world when you are unable to do so is a very liberating thought. So I really liked that. This book revolves around the story of a boy named Connor, and Connor is 13 years old. Connor is having a really rough go. His mother is going through a severe form of cancer. His father is not around. His grandmother is cold and very businesslike towards him. And to top it all off, Connor is being bullied in school. So it's actually no surprise that he's having nightmares every night, and in the nightmares there is this monster. And every night that the monster comes, he tells Connor a new tale for 3 nights. So this book is basically about the pain of potentially losing someone that you love. And I think this is a very powerful theme. I mean, I used to have this fascination with asking people, what is your worst fear? And I think the most common one I got was losing someone that I love, that's close to me. And I think that just really gets to the heart of us as human beings. This book was highly emotional, and it's not emotional in a trite way or in a flowery way. The language that it uses is not overly descriptive, not flowery, but it's actually quite concise. It just gets straight to your heart. And so I feel like in a way this book presents emotions as truth. It is just so authentic, and that comes from the lived experience. I think Siobhan Dowd has really explored her truth of being in the throes of cancer, and to me that is what good fiction is all about, just writing your truth. In this book, the character of Connor is just faced with a world of burdens that other kids his age would not even be able to fathom. I mean, he's pretty much looking after himself, he's cleaning the house, he's making meals, and he is just so thoroughly alone throughout the whole thing. I mean, the main feeling I got was just this profound sense of alienation from this boy who does not know how to express himself or deal with his feelings. And I felt really bad for Connor the whole time. And even though he does go a bit emo there, I just wanted to give him a hug. On that note, I think that while this story really gets into the depth of human suffering, particularly to do with serious illness, I think it is ultimately a story of hope and healing. I tend to find that in stories it can go one way or another in such extreme circumstances of trauma or turmoil. The characters can either be disillusioned or they can choose to find hope and to grow from this. And while Connor really does go through a trial of the spirit, I think the underlying message is one of true positivity and true resilience. And so while this book is actually marketed as a young adult book or a children's book, I personally think that it would have more resonance for older people or adults, just because, you know, adults have more lived experience and they often have had to go through, you know, more hardship just because they have more years of life under their belt. The emotional resonance would really hit home for older people, I think, as well, so it can be enjoyed by all ages. One of the things that I really loved about this book and that I found really unique was the constant diversion from the linear narrative. So you do have the kind of narrative that covers the everyday life of Connor, you know, him taking care of himself, going to school. But then you also have the tales, you know, that the monster tells Connor when he comes in and becomes real from Connor's nightmares. And I thought these tales were so beautiful. I mean, they didn't even read like contemporary fiction. They read a lot more like a fairy tale or a fable, and they had this kind of dipped in magic quality to them that I absolutely love and really enjoyed. And I felt like I was a kid again being told a bedtime story. So I loved getting lost in those sections, and they just are weaved together so beautifully with everyday life of Connor that, you know, it just flows. It's just like water. And I think that when it's that effortless and that beautiful and that poignant and lyrical, it is a really good book. And so I would have to say that I really enjoyed it. It is deep, it's not a light read, but if you are okay with that, I would highly recommend this book because it is so positive and so powerful and healing. I think I gave it a 4.5 stars out of 5. So yeah, that is probably the end of my first book review. I hope you enjoyed it, and I really enjoyed sharing my thoughts about this book with you. If you liked this video, I would really be so grateful if you liked and also subscribed, or you can also leave your comments below, especially if you read this book, and we can talk about it, which I also really enjoy. And I will also leave below a link to my blog, An Empath's Guide to the Galaxy, as well as my other social media platforms if you would like to check them out. So yeah, a huge thank you for watching. I really appreciate it. I hope you have a fabulous day, and I will see you next time. Lots of love. Take care.